Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're going to do a deep dive,
Mhm.
into the world of food entrepreneurship. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's the Commonwealth Kitchen Incubator in Youngstown, Ohio. So imagine this, okay?
Oh,
Like a place where anybody, just anybody with a killer recipe. You know what I mean? They have a dream and they can just get their food business just off the ground without the crazy costs
yeah.
usually involved with something like that. I mean, have you ever tried to rent a commercial kitchen space?
Oh, it's impossible.
It's impossible. So, to guide our deep dive today, we've got excerpts from the Incubator's website
Right.
and an article from the Akron Legal News. It's called Kitchen Incubator Assists Mahoning Valley Food Entrepreneurs.
I think what's really interesting here is how this incubator really just tackles this huge barrier to entry in the food industry, like access to a commercial kitchen. And it's not even just about having a stove and an oven. We're talking about industrial grade equipment like convection ovens, massive cold storage units, specialized tools, things that would normally cost a small fortune to buy outright.
Yeah, it's like they just set up this culinary playground.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all set up and it's ready to go. I was reading about all the different types of businesses that have gotten their start there. Like there are food trucks, catering companies, people bottling their grandma's secret sauce.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing.
That's cool.
So for our listener, if you've ever dreamed of turning your passion for food into a business, this incubator could be like the missing ingredient you've been searching for.
And it's not even just about the equipment, right? The incubator provides something even more valuable than that: support. Like we're talking free micro enterprise business coaching to help entrepreneurs just create solid business and marketing plans. They even have a microloan program that offers up to $2,500 to give these businesses that initial financial boost.
Wow, that's incredible.
Hmm.
It sounds like they're really going above and beyond to nurture these culinary ventures.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what's the driving force behind all of this.
Well, this initiative is deeply intertwined with Commonwealth Inc.'s mission of job creation, food security, and economic development in Northeast Ohio. But what makes this story even more remarkable is their history. They actually started by organizing a worker buyout of a Youngstown steel mill back when the industry was struggling. Initially, they focused on employee-owned businesses and affordable housing, keeping that community spirit alive.
Talk about commitment to their community. But then in 2003, they made this significant shift towards rebuilding the area's food systems. What prompted that change?
That's where things get really interesting. This shift was sparked by a growing awareness of the challenges facing the regional food system, from declining agricultural production to limited access to healthy food in many neighborhoods. They recognized the need to create a more sustainable and equitable food system and saw an opportunity to do so by empowering local food entrepreneurs. So they launched a variety of initiatives, like the Northside Farmers Market, an online marketplace called the Lake to River Food Cooperative that connects local farmers directly with consumers, and a program called 30 Mile Meal, which encourages people to eat food sourced from within. You guessed it, 30 miles of their homes.
Wow, so they have their fingers in so many pies, so to speak. But let's circle back to the kitchen incubator. I read that the founder, Pat Rosenthal, was inspired by a similar initiative she saw in Athens, Ohio, way back in the 90s. It seems like she was way ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. She saw the potential of this concept and was determined to bring it to Youngstown. But it wasn't an overnight success. It took years of planning, fundraising, and community building. They finally purchased the building in 2009, and after extensive renovations, the incubator officially opened its doors in 2013.
That's a testament to her vision and persistence. But speaking of impact, this brings us to a critical issue facing Youngstown: food deserts. It's a term we hear a lot these days. But can you explain what it actually means for those who might not be familiar with the concept?
Yeah, you're right. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot, but it has very real consequences. Essentially, a food desert is an area where access to affordable, fresh, and nutritious food is severely limited. Imagine living in a neighborhood where your only options for groceries are convenience stores, stocked with processed foods or fast food restaurants. That's the reality for a staggering 74% of Youngstown residents.
74%. That's incredibly alarming. So how does the Commonwealth Kitchen Incubator fit into the solution to this problem?
Well, it plays a crucial role. Think about it. The incubator supports local food entrepreneurs, many of whom are creating products using fresh, locally sourced ingredients. By helping these businesses thrive, the incubator is indirectly increasing the availability of healthy food options within the community.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's like they're tackling the problem from both ends. They're supporting the creation of healthy food businesses, A&D, increasing access to those foods for residents. So are there any specific examples of how they're doing this?
Absolutely. Commonwealth is actively involved in several projects aimed at combating food deserts. Like they're planning to open a co-op grocery store near Youngstown State University, which will offer fresh, affordable produce and other healthy staples. And they're partnering with a local organization to develop a neighborhood cafe that will serve nutritious meals, made with ingredients sourced from the incubator's businesses and local farms.
Wow. These initiatives could be like game changers for the community, you know what I mean? Access to healthy food is so fundamental to overall well-being. It's not just about physical health either. It impacts everything from educational outcomes to economic opportunities. It's like a ripple effect.
You're absolutely right. Food deserts are a symptom of larger systemic issues, right?
Hmm.
Poverty, lack of investment, limited transportation options, and they perpetuate those issues. But Commonwealth isn't just putting band-aids on the problem. They're working to address the root causes by creating a more equitable and sustainable food system.
And it sounds like they're not doing this alone. I read about a partnership they have with the Youngstown Neighborhood Development Corporation, or YNDC. Can you tell us more about that?
Collaboration is key to creating lasting change, and that's where YNDC comes in. They're a nonprofit organization focused on revitalizing Youngstown's neighborhoods. They've partnered with Commonwealth to secure a federal grant that's funding both the Kitchen Incubator and YNDC's Iron Roots Urban Farm.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. So they're essentially hitting the issue from multiple angles, supporting food entrepreneurs, developing community food hubs, and growing fresh produce right within the city. It's a holistic approach that really gets to the heart of the problem.
Precisely. And this partnership highlights a really important point. The solutions to complex problems like food deserts rarely come from a single source. It requires collaboration, innovation, and a willingness to think outside the box.
Yeah, totally. It's a perfect example of how different organizations with shared goals can amplify their impact by working together. Now, I know we focus a lot on the positive aspects of the incubator and its role in addressing food deserts, but are there any potential downsides or challenges that come with this kind of initiative?
That's a great question, and one that's important to consider. One potential challenge is ensuring that the benefits of the incubator reach all segments of the community. It's important to make sure that access to the incubator's resources and opportunities is equitable, and that everyone who could benefit has the chance to participate.
Yeah, that makes sense. It wouldn't be ideal if the incubator unintentionally exacerbated existing inequalities or only benefited certain groups within the community. So how does the incubator address this concern?
They're very mindful of this issue. They offer targeted outreach programs to connect with entrepreneurs from underserved communities. They also provide training and support services in multiple languages to ensure accessibility for non-native English speakers. And they have a sliding scale fee structure for their services to make them affordable for entrepreneurs with limited financial resources.
That's great. It sounds like they're taking a proactive approach to creating an inclusive environment. But another potential challenge I could see is the issue of competition. If the incubator helps launch a bunch of new food businesses, wouldn't it lead to increased competition within the local market? Could that potentially hurt existing businesses? Or make it even harder for newcomers to succeed?
That's a valid concern. However, the incubator addresses this by providing extensive business coaching and mentorship to its participants. They help entrepreneurs develop unique business models and target specific niche markets to minimize direct competition. They also foster a collaborative environment where entrepreneurs can share ideas and resources and even collaborate on projects.
So rather than creating a cutthroat environment, they're fostering a sense of community and cooperation among food entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
That's really impressive. It sounds like they've thought this through very carefully and are taking steps to mitigate any potential negative impacts.
Exactly. And it goes back to their overall mission of strengthening the entire food system. They recognize that a healthy food system requires diversity, collaboration, and a focus on sustainability, both economic and environmental.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. It's inspiring to see how a simple idea like a shared kitchen space can have such a profound impact on a community, especially when it's combined with a strong vision, dedicated leadership, and a collaborative spirit.
I completely agree. The Commonwealth Kitchen Incubator is a shining example of how local initiatives can drive positive change and create a more equitable and sustainable food future.
Yeah, it really makes you think about the potential for similar initiatives in other communities. What are your thoughts on that?
I think there's immense potential for kitchen incubators to be replicated and adapted to meet the specific needs of communities across the country. It's a model that can be applied in urban, suburban, and rural settings, and it can be tailored to address a variety of challenges, from food deserts to economic development to fostering culinary innovation.
You're right, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution, but rather a framework that can be customized to fit different contexts. And that brings us to a thought-provoking question for our listeners.
Hmm.
Imagine for a moment that you could bring a kitchen incubator to your community. What would it look like? What specific needs or challenges would it address? What kind of impact do you envision it having?
That's a fantastic question. It really challenges us to think about the possibilities and to consider how we can apply the lessons learned from the Commonwealth Kitchen Incubator to our own communities.
Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I
Hmm.
want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, the concept of food deserts. We've discussed the challenges they present, but I'm curious to explore the human side of this issue. What's it actually like to live in a food desert? What are the day-to-day realities for individuals and families who lack access to fresh, affordable food?
It can be a really challenging experience. Imagine having to travel long distances
Yeah.
or rely on unreliable public transportation just to get
Mm.
to a grocery store that has fresh produce, or having to make these difficult choices between buying healthy food
Yeah.
and paying for other essential needs like rent or utilities.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to think about the trade-offs people have to make when
Yeah.
simply accessing nutritious food is a constant struggle.
And it's not even just about the physical inconvenience. It takes a toll on people's mental and emotional well-being as well. It can create a sense of isolation, frustration, even hopelessness.
It's like this hidden burden that many people are carrying. And it really highlights the importance of initiatives like the Commonwealth Kitchen Incubator, which are working to address this issue head on, right? By
Mm-hmm.
creating greater access to healthy food options within these communities. They're not just improving diets, they're also like empowering residents and giving them back a sense of control over their lives.
Exactly. It's about creating a food system that works for everyone, not just those who have the resources and means to access healthy food.
Well said. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to kind of shift gears for a moment
Mm.
and explore a slightly different angle. We focus primarily on the role of kitchen incubators in addressing food insecurity and supporting economic development in underserved communities. But what if we applied this concept to a community that already has a thriving food scene? Could a kitchen incubator serve a different purpose in that context?
That's a really intriguing question, and I think the answer is a resounding yes. Imagine a community with a strong culinary tradition, a diverse range of restaurants, and a population that's passionate about food. In that environment, a kitchen incubator could become like a hub for innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship.
It's like taking the concept and elevating it to the next level. Instead of just focusing on basic needs, it becomes a catalyst for pushing the boundaries of culinary arts.
Exactly. Think about it. You could have established chefs experimenting with new techniques and flavor profiles. You could have food scientists developing innovative food products. You could have passionate home cooks testing out their recipes and launching their own artisanal food businesses.
It's like a melting pot of culinary talent, all coming together under one roof to share ideas, collaborate, and inspire each other. It could be a real game changer for the local food scene.
Absolutely. And it could have ripple effects beyond the kitchen as well. Imagine new restaurants popping up featuring the creations of these incubator graduates. Imagine food festivals showcasing the latest culinary trends coming out of this hub of innovation. Imagine food tourism becoming a major driver of the local economy.
The possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
It really makes you realize that kitchen incubators are incredibly versatile tools. They can be adapted to fit the unique needs and aspirations of any community.
Precisely. And I think that's what makes this concept so exciting. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution. It's a framework that can be customized and evolved to create something truly special.
It's all about harnessing the power of food to bring people together, right? To spark creativity, to drive economic growth, and to build a more sustainable and equitable future.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, this deep dive has been an absolute feast for thought. We've explored the challenges of food deserts, the inspiring work of the Commonwealth Kitchen Incubator, and the boundless potential of this concept to transform communities in countless ways. What are your final takeaways for our listeners?
I think the key takeaway is that food is more than just sustenance. It's a powerful force that connects us all. It has the ability to bring people together, to spark innovation, to create economic opportunities, and to build a more just and sustainable world.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'd love to hear from you, our listeners. Have you ever encountered a kitchen incubator or a similar initiative in your community? What kind of impact has it had? What are your thoughts on the potential of this concept to address food insecurity, promote economic development, or foster culinary innovation? Share your insights and experiences with us on our social media channels.
We're always eager to learn from our community and continue the conversation beyond the podcast.
And until next time, happy deep diving.